cleaned up. I thought you said you closed it.
That's my therapy.
It's a good thing to do. I cleaned mine too. I did. I really did. Yeah.
Yeah, so we left the, after we left the habitat, and I had an 11 o'clock with the cast.
Oh, how'd that go? They do a good
questions. And you can, so you like that one, but. So then I went to, my daughter was like, Mom, I'm not going to clean today. I didn't tell her. Or
So what do you call it? Oh, your collar's sticking out. Oh, this one is? Oh, okay. I had no idea what that was.
Did Erica make it? Did Erica make it?
Welcome to our dignitaries, and thank you for your public service. Welcome to all of our candidates seeking to serve, and welcome to our SPC alumni. Go Titans! I know you're out there. But a very special welcome. Can you hear me? Yes? Now you know. But a very special welcome to all the citizens of St. Petersburg, a great city, and in our former Supreme Court Justice Brandeis's his famous quote, "There is no greater office than that of citizen." That is why we're here. Like the League, St. Petersburg College has been hard at work at strengthening our democracy. We do it through transforming individual lives through education. This September, St. Petersburg College is celebrating 100 years, serving as a catalyst and convener for civic life, and we are so very proud to continue that tradition tonight. This forum is especially important because in just a few weeks, we are all going to be celebrating the Declaration of Independence 250th anniversary of its signing. It's our founding document that promises us that we are all created equally, that we have unalienable rights, that includes the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And in that spirit, this evening, we get to hear from the candidates on how they will help us achieve those promises here in St. Pete. Perhaps they may even address infrastructure investment, access to affordable water, regulating development, and how each of you can ensure the promise of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause for each of us. Thank you for being here at St. Pete College. Our doors are always open to you. Come back and see us. And now Chris Robinson is going to reveal the rules of engagement so that we can have dignified civic dialogue. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Professor Newsom, for that wonderful opening and for hosting us here. This is your house. Thank you for having us in it. I'm Chris Robinson, co-lead of the League of Women Voters of the St. Petersburg Area Candidate Forum team, and I will be supporting our moderator, Trevor Pettyford of the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists today. You may already know, potentially, that the League of Women Voters was founded 106 years ago, just before women actually gained the right to vote in 1920. We are a nonpartisan public policy organization that has never endorsed any political party or candidate. We encourage informed and active participation in government and work to increase understanding of public policy issues through education and advocacy. We've also welcomed men as League members since 1974, so anyone is welcome to join if you support our mission. Before we get started, I have a favor to ask everyone. Please take out your phones. Please put them on silent mode, and then put them away. Thank you for being present. The average person spends 5 hours a day on their phone. You can spend 90 minutes with us, digitally free. This forum is being recorded and will be posted on the League's website. The recording may not be edited or used for campaign purposes. I'm looking at all of you. No other recordings of this forum are permitted except for accredited members of the press who you will see with bright lanyards. The local election for this race will be held on August 18th. This race is nonpartisan, so it is not a true primary, and it will appear on your ballot regardless of whether you have a party affiliation or you are non-party affiliated. According to our city charter, if there is a clear winner on the 18th, this seat will not be contested in November. If no candidate is the outright winner, the top 2 candidates will proceed to the November election. Importantly, please silence your phones. And also importantly, this is a forum, not a debate. The purpose of this forum is to provide candidates with an opportunity to present their policies, plans, and views on issues of concern to the St. Petersburg community. Interruptions and personal attacks, whether from each other or from the floor, will not be permitted. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for their opening statement. Then each candidate will be posed the exact same questions with a minute to respond to each question. I know it's short, but we're trying to get as many topics as possible. And then 90 seconds for their closing statement. A timekeeper, where are my timekeepers? They will provide a 30-second warning and a signal when time has expired that everyone can see. We have received questions from the public online up until last night, and of course today. We've received more than 40 questions, possibly 50. I have taken pictures of them all, I have them all, and I grouped them by topic, and we will share those that we don't get to with the campaigns afterwards, in case they'd like to address anything we don't get to, and please forgive me if I've edited for length and grouping things by topic. The views expressed by the candidates this evening are their own. They do not represent those of the League of Women Voters, the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists, or St. Petersburg College, or any of our event co-sponsors. So with that, we're all good on the rules. They're all yours, Trevor.
Thank you very much. It is my honor and pleasure to serve as moderator here today on behalf of the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists. Our president, Sandra Weathers, a special favor tonight. So thank you so much for making us a part of this evening. We hope to come away with you being a much more informed voter. So with that, let's get to the first question. And this, we will start, we have you in particular order, and we will continue to rotate it as far as the first candidate. We have opening statements first. We have opening statements first. And then we'll start to rotate who goes first after that. So let's begin with opening statements. Ms. Gabbard, candidate Gabbard.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you all for being here tonight. When you look around St. Pete today, it's clear that we are at a turning point. And one thing that we all share is a love for our city. As a local business leader, city council member for 9 years, a mom, and someone who deeply loves our city, this is the community I have dedicated my life to. But like you, I ask myself the same hard questions about our future. How will we handle the growth that we are seeing? How will we protect our neighborhoods from flooding? And how will we leave our city better off for the next generation? Tonight, I'm not here to talk about our challenges. I'm here because I have a real plan for how to move us forward. Together, we will deliver solutions for workforce housing so that everyday people who are building our city can afford to still live here. alongside concrete strategies for coastal resilience and infrastructure investment to protect our neighborhoods and our businesses. We will fight for safer streets and to end food insecurity, and at the same time focus on economic plan that brings better jobs, increases our talent pool, and expands small business opportunities. I'm running a positive, proactive campaign and a vision for St. Petersburg. I have the experience needed to succeed, and I am ready to get to work. I look forward to tonight's conversation, and I look forward to earning your vote on August 18th.
Candidate Crist. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and everybody that came here tonight. It's a great turnout. I'm Charlie Crist. I love this city. I love St. Petersburg and its own place. It's an arts town. It is a waterfront town. It is a town of neighbors and neighborhoods that look out for one another. But a city this good should be a city that works for everyone in it. And too many families are still doing everything right and falling behind on the rent, on insurance, on water bills. I'm not running to divide this city. I'm running to bring people together and to get things done for you, the people of St. Petersburg. As mayor, I'll push prices down so we can lift people up. I will get us ready for the next storm before it arrives. And I'll be a mayor you can reach in every neighborhood in this town. St. Pete is certainly worth fighting for. I am ready to serve you. Thank you again for being here. Candidate Scruggs.
Good evening, and thank you all for taking time out to come out and hear our vision for this city. My name is Maria Scruggs. I am a lifetimer in St. Petersburg. I was born and raised, attended local schools, graduate of Northeast High, go Vikings, graduate from Florida State University, where I earned my Bachelor of Science degree, and I have my master's in public administration from Grand Canyon University. I am also the only candidate that is certified in the state of Florida as a public manager, which means that I have been trained on how to run government. In 1996, this community voted for a strong mayor form of government. And what we said when we did that was that we wanted a mayor that could act as the CEO of this city, a mayor that had the administrative capacity to manage the operations of a public municipality. And in that, I have been trained not only through the Certified Public Manager, but as over 40 years in law enforcement, community corrections, and it was no happenstance that I was the first one to file to run for this seat. Because as a public administrator and not a politician, I believe in getting results. I believe that it's time that the people are able to see receipts and that we're able to see that the life and the investment that we've made in this community is for everyone. Thank you.
Candidate Welch.
Thank you. Good evening, and thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, Interfaith Tampa Bay, KONA, the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists, and SPC for bringing us all together. I want to thank the sponsors and residents for your engagement and partnership over these last 4 years, and prior to that, when I served as county commissioner representing our city. We have made tremendous progress, even on difficult issues. And you were engaged, you were present, you were involved in shaping our city's progress. Even when it was a difficult issue, y'all stayed at the table, faced the challenges, and we did the work together. That's what matters. I'm asking for your vote to continue that work. 4 years ago, I shared a clear vision for our city based on principled and inclusive progress. You know where I stand on issues. And because we've had and continue to have conversations in the community, in every part of our community, we focused on what you said is most important: housing, public safety, community resilience, economic opportunity, education, and supporting our youth from day one. Those are the pillars that are embedded in our operations, policies, and our funding. And we were all tested. A pandemic, historic hurricanes, aging infrastructure, and overreach from Washington and Tallahassee. We didn't look for someone to blame. We assessed, we corrected, and we rebuilt together with a clear mission, vision, and plan for our future. Looking forward to the conversation.
Candidate at large.
Well, good evening. Let me start by saying thank you to the League of Women Voters. I appreciate you holding this. And then I want to say thank you to everybody in this room. This is inspiring to see that you care about this process and where we're going. To tell you a little bit about myself is I am not a politician, you've heard that already, but I am a career public servant, and that's why I'm here. I want to continue to serve this city that I've grown to love as I've gone through. I raised my family here. This city has given me tremendous opportunities. It's given me lifelong friendships. But the biggest thing that I got out of this city was a sense of purpose, and it was very rewarding. As I mentioned, I've worked for the city for my entire career. So I had decades of public service. I had 18 years of executive leadership, overseeing budgets, overseeing facilities, overseeing personnel, but more importantly, making hard decisions, tough decisions in some of the most trying times. And that's what I want to bring to City Hall. What I would tell you is, struggling here a little bit, I apologize. Let me just say this. I see a need, I have a desire, I have the time, and I have the energy. And thank you.
Candidate Batdorf.
Hey, everyone. Yes, I'm Kevin Batdorf. And it seems that a lot of you don't actually know who I am, so I'm going to tell you. I was born here in St. Pete, Mountain Park Hospital. Charlie's dad was a doctor there when I was born. Lived here my whole life, graduated Gibbs High School. Started working when I was 12. Selling the Evening Independent in front of a Winn-Dixie store on 16th Street that is now the Christmas toy shop. At 16, I started shucking oysters. That was fun. Still have the hands to prove it. So I graduated Gibbs High School, go Gladiators, and my son is attending St. Pete High, go Green Devils. So I became a businessman because I didn't actually like shucking oysters that much. So I said, well, what can I do? I started a watch company. And this watch company gave me the opportunity to negotiate contracts with the NFL, all the major sports leagues, colleges, all the major department stores around the country. Very successful. Is that stop sign? Oh, man. All right. Still a business owner, still going strong.
Thank you very much. We move to our first question, and we'll start with candidate Crist. With potential changes to property tax laws, what is your approach to managing the city's budget while maintaining essential services? What would you cut?
It's a great question, Trevor. You know, it's all about the economy and affordability, and these are issues that we're all dealing with, every family in St. Pete. It's a tough time, and as I said in my opening, it's hard to pay the rent, it's hard to pay your water bill. Unfortunately, they don't get them right sometimes, and I think what we need to do is have transparency. When I was your governor, on the first day I got sworn in as your governor, I signed an executive order establishing the Office of Open Government and transparency. I would do the same if I'm elected mayor. And I would appreciate your vote. You know, August 18th is the day, but we can start early voting a long time before that. And if you want to vote by mail, you need to contact the supervisor's office because they don't automatically send it to your home anymore. So I'd recommend that you do that. I'm certainly going to. But I think we need to stay within our budget. We need to reduce property taxes. I have a plan that does that by 4.4 mills. That would save about $15 million a year for you, the taxpayer.
Candidate Scruggs.
If the property tax amendment passes, one of the things that I would do on day one is a thorough assessment of my cabinet. One of the reasons DOGE was able to come in and identify a certain amount of waste is because it's not only common in St. Petersburg, it's common in the public sector to carry a lot of fat. And when things get lean, one of the first places that we've got to look is at the top. And I certainly believe that while we will have to make other adjustments, that the first place we would have to start is an assessment of our staffing levels and ensuring that the positions that we have are doing the work. I think that is one of the challenges that the people continue to face is we got a lot of bodies, but we can't seem to resolve anything, and our focus has to be about getting solutions.
Candidate Welch.
Thank you. We've already done this exercise. My first 3 years, I cut our millage, a cumulative of more than $20 million in cuts over the first 3 years, so I know what it means to cut the millage. But when you talk, I think the question was, what would you cut? And I think the residents need to demand an answer to that. Because for the last 12 public hearings and budget public open houses, not one person has asked for a cut. They asked for more money for complete streets, more money for public safety, more money to fill the arts gap when the state cut the arts, more money for homeless services, more money to increase the call program, more money for affordable housing. And so it will be very difficult to cut $35 to $50 million from our budget, and that is one reason I oppose this. This is not property tax reform, this is a property tax shift.
Candidate Large.
Yes, I think this is a very important issue for everyone here. The first thing you have to do is you have to look, as Maria said, we have to go into City Hall and we have to look at the spending and see where our money is going. As I mentioned, I work there. I know there's opportunity to save money. You look at our taxes, the revenue that's gone up almost 40% in the last 4 years. And when you look around, you just don't see a lot of results for that tax increase. So we have to examine our current spending. We have to go and look top to bottom review of all operations. And you have to ID and determine what operations are absolutely necessary, and then what operations are we doing that are nice to do. We can't afford, if this goes through, we can't afford to do the nice to do's. We have to do the foundation core services that city government is responsible to provide for everyone, equally, fairly, and daily. Thank you.
Candidate Batdorf.
I want to make it clear that I am in favor of the homestead exemption increase. That will provide a tax benefit to every homeowner in the lower end of the homeowner scale. So anybody who has a property assessed 250 or below will not pay taxes other than school tax. That's a benefit. That's spread across the city, across the state, but across the city. That's our money. That's not the city's money. So what cuts will need to be made, I agree. We have right now 29 employees at the city that make over $200,000 a year. We have 213 that make over $150,000. I think I'd look there first.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, as a 9-year city council member, that's one of our primary roles is to approve a budget. And I believe that we need somebody in the seat as we move forward who understands our budgets. And, you know, we are going to have a glide path for about 6 months where we are going to be looking at the FY28 budget, which is technically what would be affected. And so I'm committed as a leader to working with our city council and all of our city teams to see where we can tighten our belt. But certainly we have done that exercise over the last couple of years, as we have already seen some budget shortfalls. So I am no stranger to that work. But at the end of the day, it is going to take a large sum of money to be able to even prioritize public safety in our city. And so I will be looking very carefully at how we continue to fund the essential services, but working collaboratively with City Council and with our city team is the only way that we are going to be able to maintain our quality of life and make sure that we continue to have safety for everyone.
Thank you. Our next question. What actions would you take
to help make electricity affordable for residents and businesses. Candidate Scruggs.
I think the question was, what actions would I take to make electricity affordable?
To help.
Was that the action? Well, one of the places I would want to start is understanding why are we having residents with access of $10,000. We're talking about water, said electricity.
Yeah.
Sorry. One of the things that I would have done retroactively is the agreement with Duke Energy expires in August, I believe, of 2026. The place to have actually started to assess what I would have done to ensure we have lower electric bills is to assess our agreement 3 years ago. We now are in a situation where we are reacting and not giving us the appropriate timeline to plan so that when we have issues on the table, like a municipality serving as the electric provider, that we have the appropriate time to be able to assess that and come up with a solution that makes sense.
Candidate Welch.
I think we first have to need to have an understanding of how electric rates are designated. They are designated by the PSC, and so the city's impact is small. But having said that, we can press for more renewable energy options for our residents. We are doing that now with our MOU that we're working on with Duke Energy. We also, I think, with the franchise agreement renewal, which includes franchise fee and utility taxes, there is room in there for us to lower either one of those. Those are dollars that are paid directly by residents. That's something the city has never done, but it would have a direct impact on lowering those bills. But the long-term solution to lowering bills is getting that rate lowered by the PSC. Duke has some embedded costs, including we're still paying for CR3, the nuclear plant, that will not go away. Even if we have a municipal franchise, all of those things will be factored in. We are getting the numbers. City Council did approve moving forward with the feasibility study, and we'll get the real data.
Candidate Large.
Yes, I think as in the mayor's position and the mayor just said, it's very limited what you can do. The rates that are the electric set is by the PSC. So you're really looking at what's been discussed, you know, the Dump Duke campaign versus keeping Duke. And I think that when you look at the timing of that, it's just not right now. We need to be reducing the size of government, not increasing it when we look at if we take on a city municipality. But the more important question for me, my water bill's been higher than my electric bill for the last 4 months. So I don't find the electric bill outrageous, I find the water bill outrageous, and I think as a city, we have far too many other problems to handle than to try to address doing something with electric right now. So thank you.
Candidate Batdorf.
$590,000 for a study we don't really need. Because honestly, let's take a look at it. The city can't run a water utility. They're going to run an electric utility. It's not going to happen. It'll never happen. Maybe one administration can run it properly, but we have to look down the road to the future administrations that come in. We don't know what's going to happen. We know now that the water utility is not being run properly. As far as what do we do with Duke, we negotiate. We put it out for bid. We find other companies that may want to come in, and we may find out that Duke is the best answer for us right now. My electric bill is less than my water bill as well. So I think we need to look at all the options. I think we wasted money on a $590,000 study that says it's not going to be feasible for St. Pete to own a utility.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, I'm proud to say that I am the candidate sitting on this stage that is Dump Duke certified, and that is because I am one of the 2 council members who pushed forward for us to do the feasibility study to explore municipal power. And the reason for doing that, I make no promises that we will actually be able to move forward with that municipal study. I'm looking forward to finding the results, but mostly I believe in due diligence, and I believe that we will be able to negotiate any extension or future agreement with any electric company from a position of power. And I think that that is important for our city to always make sure that we are working on our agreements from a place of knowledge, because knowledge is strength and it gives you the ability to be able to negotiate what is best for the residents that you serve.
And candidate Crist.
Thank you very much. Electricity is a big issue, and Duke Power is an issue. When I served as your Attorney General, I sued power companies for you, for the consumers. And one way that you can find justice is going to court. If we have to do that, I'm prepared to do it on day one, because I've done it before for the whole state of Florida. I think it's important that we look out for your interest. And this goes to the affordability question. Things are out of control. Insurance is too high. Electric is too high. These are the kinds of things that you need to have somebody in the mayor's office who's looking out for your interest, the economy that you and I have to deal with, and make the costs lower. That's why I want to cut property taxes and save you about $15 million a year that goes back to you, the people, the citizens of the city of St. Petersburg. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Keeping in mind the housing down payment program in the city of St. Petersburg, how would you address housing affordability and ensure that St. Petersburg remains accessible to residents of all income levels? Candidate Welch.
Thank you. Housing affordability has been a priority for my administration since day one. I ran on this housing as one of our 5 pillars for progress, and we made tremendous progress. We've preserved or built 1,000 units, and we have 1,000 more that are en route. Just this morning, we dedicated 11 affordable townhomes on former city property on 18th Avenue with Habitat for Humanity. There are 40 more under construction right down the road. Folks earning 80% AMI are going to get into home ownership on all of those properties. It has been a priority. I brought in a housing team. I made housing a pillar. Rob Gertis was my first promotion, promoted him to assistant administrator for housing, later made him the administrator. He brought in Amy Foster, and they are winning awards for their approach. Won an award for the Florida Housing Coalition for using the most ARPA money for housing. And so it remains a priority and all across this city, whether it's Skyway Lofts 2 or the Grove or Fairfield Apartments, we are putting affordable housing on the ground.
Candidate Large.
Yes. There's 2 sides to this issue. As I go around and I talk to individuals, there are those that are obviously concerned about more affordable housing, and then there are those that are concerned about continuous subsidies of housing. So when we look at affordable housing in St. Pete, it has turned into, to be real on it, it is subsidized housing. The real issue we have in St. Pete is housing affordability. We have built a city to where the cost of housing has rose, and the mayor cannot control the construction costs, cannot control interest rates, cannot control the different factors that go into building homes. So we have a real issue there that we struggle with day in and day out. So as a city, we have to make it as convenient to build here. We can't have obstacles with our permitting department. We need our infrastructure to be able to support the future housing. So I think this is a very complicated issue, but I think there's a lot that can be done with those things to assist in the growth of the city.
Candidate Batdorf.
So housing is my wheelhouse. I've owned a real estate company since 1999, and it's still going pretty strong right here in St. Pete. I've also advocated at the state and national level for down payment and closing cost assistance for our residents here in St. Pete. Wengay Newton over there, I knocked on your door in Tallahassee. So I've brought that money back. The solution, if there was a solution, it would have been done because everybody wants housing affordability. But honestly, it's supply and demand. It's making sure that we use smart development when we're building so that the infrastructure isn't impacted as much as it's been. And the closing costs and down payment assistance isn't going anywhere. It's already here, and it's funded by the state.
Candidate Batdorf. I'm sorry, Candidate Gabbard.
Well, I've been building the affordable housing toolbox in St. Petersburg since the day that I was elected. One of the things I'm most proud of is that I passed the Employee Assisted Housing Program, which gives a stipend to our employees who are the lowest paid within our city, but are required to still live here based upon their union contracts. That is an example of the work that I have done to really impact the everyday people of this city. I'm committed to working with our business community to expand programs like that for their workforce. There are ways that we can do this by working together to make sure that our workforce, our hospitality, and those who are building our city can continue to live here. And when you talk about ARPA funding, that is a great point, because I was the one who motioned for us to devote 76% of those dollars to housing. And so I believe in affordable housing, I believe in workforce housing, and I believe in a charge for our city to make sure that we are continuing to move forward so that all of us can call this city home.
Candidate Crist.
We need more homes that working people can afford. It's that simple. The teachers, nurses, firefighters, the people who actually make this city run. As mayor, I'll do three things. I will speed up the permitting so good housing does not die in a drawer for years. Delay is expensive, and every month it takes for a home to be sold costs more, and it increases. I will use city land and real incentives to require actual affordability in new development, not promises, units you can count. And I will protect the longtime residents who are being priced out of homes that they have lived in for decades. The standard for me is I will be an honest broker who gets to yes on projects that bring both good jobs and affordable homes to all of you. We do not have to choose one or the other. A good mayor will deliver on both, and I will.
Candidate Scruggs.
That's okay. I think one of the first questions that I have to ask myself as mayor of St. Petersburg is, when we use the terminology affordable housing, the question has to be affordable for whom? We attended a dedication this morning, a habitat, the majority of us did, and it was interesting that the majority of the homeowners were professionals that had to reach out to support for habitat. The issue in St. Petersburg, first and foremost, is that people have to make more money. We have to create a livable wage. We cannot continue to, as we talked about, the mayor does not control the cost of construction. But what we can do with the power of convening is convene the right stakeholders to the table to talk about how do we create a wage where people can afford the housing that is already in place.
Thank you. Our next question. What the city decides to do with the 86-acre site will have long-lasting impacts. How will you address broken promises to the city, to the gas plant district? And what parameters should the city set for this site before any developer gets access? Candidate Large.
So the gas plant area is obviously a very, very substantial issue for the city long term. It's a generational decision. We need to recognize the history, but at the same time, we have to make this work for the entire city. This is an extremely valuable tract of land, and we can't undersell it, undervalue it, and we have to take it very slow, very cautious, and make sure we make the right decision. Like I say, honoring the history of the gas plant district, but at the same time, making this tract of land work for the entire city and the best interests of the whole city. So thank you.
Candidate Batdorf.
So the way to honor those promises that were made is to create more jobs, create more access. We have a property right now that's worth $390 million. My plan as mayor would be to leverage that property and other properties so that we can afford to pay for items outside of Tropicana Field. The fair market should be developing that property. We should have ideas on what we would like to see, but it's the fair market that's going to generate the income that's going to solve a lot of the other financial issues that this city has.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, I've led the charge at City Hall to request the pause of a developer selection until we can do a comprehensive study on this site. The residents are asking us to make sure that we do not give away our most valuable asset before we know what we really need to have there in that location. And what I hear more often than not is, should we even sell the land at all? And this is a question that we have yet to answer. Is there smaller parcels that we should sell? Are there things that we should keep for city assets? We have not even begun to answer those questions. And so I'm committed to seeing that study through. We continue to work on that with our partners and the League, the Urban League, Foundation for a Healthy St. Pete, the list goes on, to continue to make sure that we keep community voice at the center of whatever happens at the gas plant district.
Candidate Crist. The gas plant district is one of the most important pieces of land in Florida and carries a promise this city made to families who were displaced from it generations ago. We have to honor that promise. My focus is bigger than any one tenant. That land should deliver for the people of St. Pete good jobs, housing people can afford, and the kind of anchor institutions that build an economy for decades. It's terribly important, I think, to understand that we have a gem, if you will, in the gas plant area, a real opportunity, and there have been several proposals put forward. I think that we need to study them carefully, do what's best for you, the taxpayers of this city, and do what's appropriate for that land. It's a huge parcel of land just outside of downtown. It takes somebody responsible to get it right, and I will do whatever I can to make sure we do get it right. Thank you.
Candidate Scruggs.
The first place that we have to start with discussions about the historic gas plant is start telling the truth and being clear on who the promises were made to. We play with the language, but let's be clear that the promises were made to my family and many descendants of African descent. So when we start talking about what happens on that site, we got to start with the foundational truth, and we have to start with strategic planning, not only for the historic gas plant, but for the entire South St. Petersburg. The majority of the neighborhoods in this city have master plans that guide the development. For some reason, with this administration and others, we have not been able to secure a master plan that is strategic, that guides the work, which is why we keep giving the resources away. We've got to begin with the strategic planning process that identifies the gas plant as a part of the entire South St. Petersburg.
Candidate Welch.
These promises were made when I was in high school at Lakewood High School, 40 years ago. The way you honor those promises is to move forward and to not delay for another decade. We've planned and planned and planned to death. There are two mayors in this room who've gone through that process. We had more than 1,000 people weigh in into community conversations when I issued an RFP. One of those community conversations was right here at St. Pete College. It all comes back to the same thing. I call it the JHOP principles: jobs, housing, economic opportunity, and honoring the promises. The study that we've delayed moving forward on to get the ULI results is going to aggregate that. And we've done that work already on my staff. I did it personally using Claude and ChatGPT. Put all the studies in there. What's the commonality? JHOP. And that's what's going to come back. The community has told us that. I lived there. My grandparents' business was there. Our church was there. I lived this experience. So the way you honor those promises is to move forward and stop delaying, and I intend to do that.
Thank you. Next question. How will you approach the regulation of growth and development and balance new high-rises with keeping St. Petersburg character and identity? Candidate Batdorf.
So I have a smart development plan for the city. Anytime that a new developer wants to come in and develop a piece of property, today they pay $1,000 per bathroom as their impact fee. My requirement is going to be they need to do a study, show us what the actual impact of that development is going to be, not only on the parcel that they're building on, but the surrounding area. That's going to be their impact fee. That's how we control development. That's how we fix our infrastructure.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, one of the things that I think is most important is to make sure that we can continue to keep our neighborhoods strong. In the wake of the storms that we saw in 2024, what we finally realized, although many of us had been saying this for a very long time, was that our permitting process needed to be refined, it needed to be streamlined, and we needed to help people move forward in building stronger neighborhoods. And as long as our neighborhoods continue to sit vulnerable and do not have the ability to rebuild and rebuild stronger, higher, and faster, then they will continue to look for us to become more dense and move into these corridors. We have got to do our permitting system in a streamlined and expedited way so that everyday people can continue to thrive within our neighborhoods while we work on development opportunities to be able to control our runoff, make sure that we have more green space within these developments, and make sure that we have that balance that we need in a built-out city.
Candidate Crist.
Development's an important issue. It has done a lot for downtown St. Petersburg. That's bringing more money into our city so that we can pay for services that people deserve, like police, firefighters, sewage control, drainage. Those things are all very important. But we have to realize that St. Pete is a charming place to live and is a special place to live. And so our development has to be smart. It has to be regulated appropriately. As I said, it provides jobs, so I'm for it, but I'm not for ruining the charm that makes St. Petersburg such a special place. And I would make sure that anything that came before the council and mayor in the development arena was done in a way that respects St. Petersburg's history, our people, and our future, most importantly.
Candidate Scruggs.
The way that I would begin to approach development in St. Petersburg is starting with the people. St. Petersburg has about 42 very distinct neighborhoods that carry their own characteristics. And that when we start looking at how we develop, which is the focus has been downtown, 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 and how can the buildings be higher, 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 missing from that conversation is what about the people? How does that impact the people that live in the adjoining neighborhoods? The fact that we took down 3 beautiful buildings downtown, what became the priority is an example of how this city has moved forward over the last 10 years. We focused on what the developers wanted. So the way I would start with the conversation with development is to focus on the people first.
Candidate Welch.
So the question was high-rises?
Go back on that. Yeah, I'll ask it again. How will you approach the regulation of growth and development and balance new high-rises with keeping St. Petersburg's character and identity?
Okay. The high-rises are not the problem. And if you looked at our state of the economy, you'll see how much high-rise developments contribute to our tax base. A lot of us here are homestead exempted. We've got to save our homes cap. Our taxes don't go up more than 3% a year. Those high-rises are paying an inordinate ratio of the taxes, and so that's great. The issue is how do you get that development, and I grew up here when we would love to have an active downtown, and now we've got it. The development is happening in the areas we planned for over 30 years. I served on Fort Pinellas, the Planning Council. It's happening in the activity centers, downtown, Gateway, Skyway Marina, Tyrone, and then we're keeping our neighborhoods the way that they are. The real issue is infrastructure. If we had zero growth, we still would have a problem with our infrastructure. The issues in '24 weren't because we had growth, it's because our infrastructure hasn't been kept up. That's really what we need to focus on.
Candidate at large.
Yes, this is something that, as I go around and I talk to people in the community, you hear all the time, what are you going to do about all the development? There's a lot of concern about how that's going to affect our city long term. And I think some of the comments we've heard here are very relevant. We want to protect the character of our neighborhoods. So that's first and foremost. That's what makes city of St. Pete, such an appealing place. I think the real problem, though, has been, as was mentioned, the development has far outpaced the maintenance of our infrastructure. And I think we just have to slow down. The word smart comes up a lot about development. It has to be strategic, it has to be cautious, careful, and we can't keep putting tomorrow's development on yesterday's infrastructure. It's time to fix our infrastructure and focus on that, and then let's talk about future development.
Thank you. Our next question. What will be your approach to infrastructure, including wastewater, stormwater, and hurricane resilience? Candidate Gabbard.
Well, as a city council member that represents a district that lies 95% within the coastal high hazard, I certainly understand this issue better than most. Our infrastructure, we must invest, but what we need to do is we need to invest in a way that prioritizes the return on that investment. And what I mean by that is whenever we have a project, we should be able to look directly at that and see how many homes, how many businesses can be impacted and saved from future flooding when we make that investment. And then do that equation to see if that investment makes sense. For a very long time, this was a coastal neighborhood issue. This is no longer a coastal neighborhood issue, as we have all learned. This is a city-wide issue, and it is going to take a deliberate approach at maximizing every single dollar of investment to make sure that we can work our way out of the years of uninvestment that did not happen in councils and mayors of the past.
Candidate Crist.
I've had the opportunity to manage storms as your governor, and I know the truth about how this goes well. The work that saves lives happens before the storm arrives. So here's my plan. Before the storm, harden our stormwater and sewer systems so we stop flooding the same neighborhoods over and over again. For our most vulnerable neighbors, a real registry, so we know who needs help in getting out, with transportation and pet-friendly shelters ready to go. After the storm, debris contracts signed in advance so that cleanup starts on day 1 instead of week 3. And one recovery center where families get permits, inspections, and FEMA help in a single place, fast. I know how to bring federal dollars home for this work. St. Pete will be ready before the next storm and not scrambling after it.
Candidate Scruggs.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer because this is a very complex and technical issue. The fact that I hear solutions being spewed when we have neighborhoods flooding that have never flooded before says to me we're in trouble. And what this takes is one of the things that I have said constantly on the campaign trail is so important that the people take the crowns off the heads of the elected officials and hold us accountable for solutions. What I would do is pull and use the power of convening to pull the right technical stakeholders to the table to identify the issue and then work toward solutions that are not politically expedient. I think one of the things that has become frustrating during this whole aftermath of Helene and Milton was that we see a lot of conversation, we see a lot of money. Sorry.
Candidate Welch.
That's okay. So we, unfortunately, are very experienced in dealing with storms. We've had 5 hurricanes in my first 3 years, and we are very good at storm prep. A lot of the things you've heard we do at every storm. We have special needs registries. We have evacuation protocols. We do all those things, but none of those things deal with the level of threat we're seeing from climate change and sea level rise. We've never faced 7 feet of storm surge ever in our history. And that's why, for the first time, I had to ask you not to flush toilets or do laundry because we had to shut down 2 of our 3 sewer plants. That is a systemic change in our infrastructure, and what I brought forward is called SPAR, St. Pete Agile Resilience. It's like Penny for Pinellas. It's $600 million we're asking you to vote on to accelerate our plants, our pipes and pumps in neighborhoods and neighborhood programs so that we can deal with the elevated threat we're seeing. Parts of the city have flooded that have never flooded before. It's a new day. That's my plan, SPAR.
Candidate at large.
Yes, so, that is true. When the parts of the city that have flooded that have never flooded before, and there's, that was unprecedented storm surge, as was mentioned. The other factor that we have, and I did a little research on this, is the volume of rain that's coming down in, say, 20 minutes now is significantly more than it used to be, for whatever reason. And so the system that we have, infrastructure in St. Petersburg, was never designed to handle that volume of rain. It was designed based on the rainfall at the time that it was put in, which is years and years ago. So we have some real issues there with the size of our infrastructure and what needs to be done and what can be done. There are certain areas where you can't even upsize the pipe. It's just not practical. So there's a lot of challenges with this. And the other challenge, we can spend a lot of money on backflow preventers, pumping stations, but the reality is if you live here and the tide is up here, there's all the backflow preventers and all the pumping stations aren't going to make any difference. That's just going to be money that's not well spent.
Thank you. Candidate Batdorf.
May 8th, 1979. St. Petersburg flooded. All of St. Petersburg except 49th Street. Just after that, the city, who had not maintained the infrastructure, had to get to work and fix it, and they did. But guess what? Not maintained again. Here we are again. It can be fixed. Number one, we need an accurate mapping of all the pipes for drainage and sewer that are underground. We don't have that at the city. Once we have that, we determine the most vulnerable pipes and fix them. It's really not that hard. It's common sense, and it's just not being done because it's not sexy.
Thank you. Our next question. St. Pete has high road fatalities. What specific measures would you support to improve streets and traffic safety for pedestrians, cyclists, transit users, and drivers? We'll begin with Candidate Crist.
Well, we have to enforce our laws. That's pretty basic and fundamental. We can't have speeding in the city. That would contribute to the deaths that we see in our traffic. We got to make sure that the enforcement by our police department doesn't allow people to run red lights and make sure that we keep the city safe for each and every one of us. Traffic gets more and more and more every year because we're growing quickly. And so this is something where AI might be able to help us as it relates to the sequencing of traffic lights so it moves faster and in a more manageable way. And that would reduce the problems and the kind of accidents that we're experiencing right now. Other options can be proposed as well. And I think we need to look at them all. Thank you.
Candidate Scruggs.
I was not aware that the city of St. Petersburg's high road rates of fatalities because of accidents has increased any more than our surrounding communities. The one thing that I would want to do is have a better assessment of that statement and that issue before we start attacking something that may not be as much of a problem as we perceive. So, number one, study the issue because this is something that's that I was not aware of. And two, ensuring that we're not jumping to solutions that don't actually fix the problem. And would be my approach to this issue.
Candidate Welch.
We have this issue in part because we're in a sunshine city, in a southern city, and you'll see those rates higher. More folks are out, more folks are enjoying the outdoors for more of the year. So we've addressed this up front through something called Complete Streets. Fifth Avenue is a great example. As you move east, you'll see the improvements that have been made with pedestrian crossings. Some of the north-south crossings have been closed off. That's in partnership with FDOT, and we're doing that across the city. This is one of the things that folks ask us to increase funding for every year. We've done that this year, and we'll continue to do it, but it's something that, again, will be at risk if we have to reduce what we have available from property taxes. So Complete Streets has been our approach, connecting the trails, helping more folks ride their bikes or scooters to get to work. We're doing all of those things, and we want to continue moving forward with our Complete Streets program.
Candidate large.
Yes, I think, number one, obviously we need enforcement of speeding and traffic violations, things like that. But I think the city's done a pretty good job when you look around and you see all the pedestrian crosswalks with the flashing lights. And what the real problem that I see, and I see it every single day, is the personal responsibility of the people, the pedestrians. Walk that extra half a block and use that pedestrian crosswalk instead of trying to cross the road a half a block away from the flashing lights. I see that, like I say, every single day, an example of not using those investments that the city's made to promote pedestrian safety. So I don't know if it's a public education campaign or what we have to do. We have to get people to use those resources that are put in place and make themselves safer.
Candidate Batdorf.
We have an old road system, not designed for bikes at all. We have the Pinellas Trail, which is designed for bikes and pedestrians, and it's mostly connected throughout St. Pete and then going up into Pinellas County. My plan is to extend the Pinellas Trail into different neighborhoods so that there is a continuous biking route for people who want to do that safely with the wider sidewalks. It just makes more sense that way. We have a street, Dr. MLK, that starts a bike path and goes about 10 blocks and then it ends at 22nd Avenue if you're heading south. It's like, well, what do you do from there? We need a more cohesive, connected bike and pedestrian network. And oh, by the way, with the Pinellas Trail, let's put an automated tram that people can just get on. It's automated and electric and just go downtown and all around.
Thank you.
Why not?
Candidate Gabbard.
In 2020, I went through a program under Smart Growth America called the Complete Streets Champion Program, and I was certified by that program. And what I can tell you is that the Deadly by Design study that comes out every year is not new. This has been an issue that has been ongoing. Pinellas County has some of the most deadly roads in the entire country. Under Mayor Kreisman, we passed the Complete Streets Plan, and I was happy to support that at the time, but we have failed in getting further investment in that plan over the last few years. We need to reinvigorate that plan. We need to invest fully in that plan. I was endorsed by Activate St. Pete because I believe in people over pavement. I believe that people should be able to get around our city safely on a bike, walking, however you choose to get around our city. You should be able to know that at the end of the day, you'll be able to come home to your family. I'm committed to making our roads safer for all road users, whether you want to have a car, whether you can have a car, or whether you enjoy driving in your car. We should all be able to get home to our families at the end of the day.
Thank you. This next question is almost a little personal because I'm a mentor in Men in the Making. What are you going to do for youth in St. Pete, and how can you ensure there is funding for programs for them? We'll begin with candidate Scruggs. Oh, yeah.
Well, this is certainly an area that I champion that is very dear to me, is our children. Again, one of the greatest assets that the city of St. Petersburg has is our recreation centers. I have family in New York, and when they come to St. Petersburg, they enjoy all of the green space and the parks and the pools that they can walk to, depending on whatever neighborhood they're in, whatever family member that they're visiting. One of the areas that I have got to focus on, though, if we spend over a $200 million budget in our parks and recreation since this administration has been in place, we've spent over $50 million in funding youth programs. But the problem is that we still are having systemic, sustained issues with our young people. We are not connecting the dots. So my first solution to this issue with our children is assessing how we're spending the money that we're saying we're spending on children.
Thank you. Candidate Welch.
So this has been a priority for me from the first day. Youth and education opportunities is one of the 5 pillars. So we do everything from trying to provide more opportunities for youth through education. We fund the Shirley Proctor Puller program, STEM programs. We have a great program called the Mayor's Future Ready Academy, where we bring in cohorts. They do rotations in sanitation, parks and rec, public works. And out of that program, about 75 young people mostly have gone through that program, come out with their CDL and other certifications. We've hired more than 45 of them to permanent careers with the city of St. Pete. So we're showing the youth there are opportunities. On the other end, when the young person gets into trouble, we want to wrap around that family, and we have a program called Forward Together that the residents voted on a couple of years ago in our budget that dedicated $1 million to wrapping around service. So a kid gets in trouble one time, you can get them back on the right path. So everything from opportunities to getting kids on the right path, we've done that and we'll continue to.
Candidate at large.
Yes, so I think one of the issues is reaching the youth when they're a little younger and giving them hope. And we did that. We partnered with St. Pete College some years back, and we started a program where we would take at-risk youth and we'd bring them down to what at the time was the Allstate Center, and we'd show them the life of what it's like to be a firefighter, the life of what it's like to be a police officer, and try to give them hope when they would say, well, college is not in my future, or I can't I don't know what I'll do. We gave them an opportunity to see that there's things that they could do. And it's those kind of programs that we need to keep doing. We need to have opportunity for that youth, again, to give them hope. That's the biggest part of it.
Candidate Batdorf.
Part of my platform is a crime prevention youth program. The city right now has a ton of nonprofits that reach out to our youth, but none of them talk to each other. They don't talk to the school system. They don't talk to the courts. They don't talk to the police. It's not cohesive in any way, shape, or form. My plan brings in private enterprise to offer these kids 15 to 20 an apprenticeship job, especially the ones that are on the wrong path that maybe we can snatch out of the court system and put them back on the right path. Let's get them a paid apprenticeship so they learn skills that they want to use into the future. And then when they graduate, while they're learning, they're also getting financial advice as well. And once they graduate, they have a full-time job or someone can set them up in business. I've already got businesses lined up that want to help with this. We need to just put it all together. The nonprofits are already talking to me. I'm ready to go on this one.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, as a mom raising a 15-year-old and being busy and working, we certainly know how hard it is on our families to connect the resources that exist at City Hall and make sure that they can make a difference in the lives of their kids. And the Dream Defenders have brought forward for the last several years a plan to do just that, employing our youth to go out into the communities and share the programs and the everything that we have available for our youth. Programs are useless if the people who need them don't actually know they exist. And so I'm committed to making sure that we create a program like this so that we can empower our youth, we can empower our families to really connect with all of those resources. And we already have a great example of that at the St. Pete Youth Farm. If you have not been there, I highly recommend that you go. It's one of the most special places in our city. And that is exactly what they do with our youth ambassadors. They give them a stipend to work at the youth farm under an urban agriculture initiative so that they can empower themselves to do better.
Candidate Crist.
Thank you very much. This is a critically important issue. You know, it's important that kids have an opportunity after school during the summer that keeps them active in a productive way that makes a difference in their life. Earlier, I served on the board of the Police Athletic League, for example, and they provided lots of opportunity for young people, both after school and during the summer, to have productive pursuits that they could be engaged in. That's the kind of thing that I think really helps people, but I think apprenticeships are important as well, mentoring programs additionally. These are the kinds of things that we need to really look out for our children. I met with one of our esteemed bishops, pastors, last week about a problem where young kids and teens are getting out and taking over areas. This happened in Clearwater not long ago. That's why these programs that I have mentioned, I think, can be so productive and so helpful in stemming the tide of the challenge for young people in our community.
Thank you. Our next question. The arts community, specifically, the arts contribute significantly to St. Pete's economy, identity, and vibe. What specific actions would you take to fund and expand the city's arts and culture community? Begin with candidate Welch.
We have, in recent years, provided general fund revenue to plug the gap from state cuts to arts funding. To me, that is a stopgap measure. It doesn't really address the issue. For years, both as mayor and a member of the Tourist Development Council, and prior to that as county commissioner, I recommended that we dedicate a portion of the countywide bed tax to fund the arts. The county commission had looked at that. That was on the table. We have a new county commission. I see Commissioner Latvala here now. But to me, that is the most sustainable way. Other counties do the same thing. We are far behind in our funding for the arts compared to even cities like Sarasota and Tampa. So to me, that's the suggestion. The city has limited resources, and again, if property reform goes through, we won't have that bucket of dollars to pull from to fund the arts.
Candidate Large.
Yes. So you're right. The arts are such a vital part of what is St. Petersburg. I think they're one of the most important economic drivers that we have. When you look at like say all the different the art walk down off of 22nd Avenue and 22nd Street and 5th Avenue. You look at the museums we have. I used to, when I was at fire headquarters, I would come out every day. There'd be somebody pulling up, a tourist in a rental car. How do I get to the Dali? It's a big attraction. The arts here are a big attraction. The challenge will be, as Mayor Welch said, if the property tax goes through and we're funding core services, is finding the money to support the arts. But I have to say, the arts are very vital. I've walked the art walk several times. I've talked to the artists, and they feel challenged. They do, to try to make it work and make ends meet. And we have to find a way to help them. And maybe there's something in the private sector that can be done.
Candidate Batdorf.
Another passion of mine. Many years ago, I was a music major right here. So the arts are very dear to me. They are an economic driver that we cannot lose. So we need to figure out a way, most likely public-private partnerships. We need more sponsorships of the arts. We need to keep the arts at all costs, in my opinion.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, I've been working on this with our development and art community for the last year or so to look at a development bonus program that would allow for there to be livable, affordable live workspaces within new developments. And both the development community and the artist community are really working hand in hand in this. And I think it's that kind of synergy that we need in order to make sure that we do continue to be a city of the arts. I've also supported or requested requested that we look into a fund that would actually come from private donors. We have examples of that around the city now, and those private donations could actually go to purchasing more art for our or for our city collection. And if there was a way that we could actually incentivize to be able to make sure that the art that we purchase for the collection does come from our local artists. They need us to buy the art, but they also need places to be able to live and make their art and sell their art, and I believe that a city that's committed to the arts can make that happen.
Candidate Crist.
The arts are part of a special part of St. Petersburg. They are part of who we are. You know, the murals, the Dali, the galleries, the Florida Orchestra. The Florida Orchestra is based in St. Petersburg. The artists and the musicians who choose our city, it's one of the reasons people fall in love with St. Pete. The arts are also an economic engine. They support our restaurants, fill our hotels, create jobs. I think it's incredibly important that we support the arts in a significant way because the arts are part of the soul of Florida, and we're going to keep our soul. I think it's incredibly important that we understand that, we all enjoy it. It adds to the life and the lifestyle of St. Petersburg. It makes people happy. Just a couple weeks ago, I went to the Florida Orchestra with my fiance, and it was extraordinary. It was packed. So many people at the Mahaffey Theater. It's a special place that we live in. We have so many artists here that enjoy it. I think we need to support it, and I always will.
Thank you. Candidate Scruggs.
We've got to stop giving lip service to the conversation about the arts. We are not an arts community. We focus on arts as a program as opposed to it as an economic engine. My plan for supporting the arts is consistent with what I'm looking at across 5 industries called economic clusters. And we've got to build support for the arts community, looking at it in the context of business. And as Charlie used the terminology, economic engine. And once we change that focus, we have built into these economic clusters opportunities that increase revenue for artists and help decrease their cost.
All right, thank you. This is a combination of questions that we've received, so we tried to make it concise. A number of residents have trouble getting timely, effective responses for critical services like permits, development review, C-Click Fix, and the DMV. How will you improve efficiency and communication? Starting with candidate at large.
Well, first and foremost is accountability. We have to hold people accountable to do their jobs properly. Another thing as I travel around that I hear about all the time is, why does permitting take so long? You know, why do I not get a call back? You know, I talked to someone the other day, they said they've called 4 or 5 different numbers and nobody has returned the call. That's unacceptable. The city services are here for you. You're not here for us as cities, you know, if we're the city. So we have to fix that. We have to hold employees accountable. We have to set standards. We have to set, you know, the guidelines on what we expect. I remember when previous mayor came in and I was the fire marshal for the city, he wanted the permits out in 7 days. We couldn't do it. We tried. The building official and I, we tried. We couldn't do it. So he gave us 14 days, but we did it. We did it in 14 days. It can be done. It's just a matter of holding people accountable, setting the expectation and making sure that we meet that expectation.
Candidate Batdorf.
Boy, that's a whopper question. Those are the biggest complaints I get about the city is the permitting, the water department, high bills, no accountability, no transparency. Permitting can be solved 90% with correct reviews up front. Every person I talk to gets a review back from the codes department or the permitting department. They start construction and then they have to stop because something else came up. This needs to be addressed up front, one time, so the contractor knows what he's dealing with. That will solve a ton of problems in the permitting department. The water department, I'm hoping, when I'm mayor, I'm going to release the Epstein files of the water bills.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, I think the question is specific to constituent service, and really I believe that that is a culture issue, and it comes from the top, and we need to make sure that we have a mayor who is committed to aligning all of our departments to make sure that the resident services are job number one. My office served as essentially the triage office for permitting for about 20 months after these storms. And what I can tell you is that people need to be heard. People need to know response. They need to know where they are in the queue. That is the kind of leader that I have shown that I am and will continue to be. I am committed to a city hall that is transparent, accountable, and responsive to you, the residents, because your resident services should always be put first, regardless of what that matter is. And I already talked a little bit about permitting, but streamlining that permitting process will be my first priority upon becoming mayor.
Candidate Crist.
Yeah, thank you. I hear about this issue every day. About 3 weeks ago, I had lunch with a gentleman that owns some land that's just south of the gas plant area. He wants to try to develop it in a responsible way. He's been waiting 3 years to get a permit to do so. That's unacceptable. That is not government that's efficient and working for you effectively, and we need to do better than that. How do you do it? You hire people that are motivated to work, that show up on time. And we don't have to pay them $200,000 a year, like we heard about earlier, to do that. You just have to make sure that you're doing things in an efficient fashion, and I think it starts with leadership. You have to have somebody that's in the mayor's office that wants to work hard every single day. That's incredibly important, to lead by example. I did that as governor. I would do that as mayor. I look forward to the future because it's important to you, and getting permitting creates more jobs, and if you do it efficiently, better paying jobs for all of our citizens.
Candidate Scruggs.
I want to agree with Councilwoman Gabbard on the comment about this is a cultural issue. And it's not just constituency service, it's City Hall. And one of the things I talked about in my introduction is my role as a public administrator versus a professional politician. As a public administrator, there are several core competencies that we have to focus on: accountability, transparency, integrity, ensuring that people are properly aligned with the positions that they're in and that you just don't have butts in the seats because of their political alliance. And we've got to get results. The people have got to be able to see concrete results based on the investment that they're making in City Hall. And that's the difference in what I know that I bring will bring to City Hall. Not something that I'm gonna do, but something that I've had an opportunity to do over 40 years in the public sector, and now have an opportunity to do it at City Hall.
Candidate Welch.
So to fix a problem, you have to understand systemically what is going wrong. Right here at St. Pete College, I was an associate vice president for administration. One of the things I was the chair of was the technical steering committee, the technology steering committee, looking at complex systems, bringing folks together, understanding where the real issues were. One of the first things I did when I became mayor was to look at our permitting system. We brought in developers. We hired an on-buds person. We brought up the e-portal. What happened with permitting as well as billing is our infrastructure was overwhelmed. The high bill estimates, the delays in permitting because of the volume in part, but also the backbone for that is a 30-year-old mainframe system called Naviline that can't provide the kind of functionality we need now. We're in the process of upgrading that. A $9 million upgrade, it touches so many systems, including permitting, codes, and it will provide the kind of functionality we need. We've added resources to permitting. It's been a problem for a long time before I got here, but we are actually fixing it instead of just pointing fingers.
And we've come to the last question for the evening, and it's of particular importance this month because we're celebrating Pride and Juneteenth. With that in mind, St. Pete is a diverse and growing, evolving city with historical inequities. How will you reassure voters that you will represent all communities across our city? We begin with candidate Batdorf.
Well, my platform is together we can do this, united we'll shine. It's more like a slogan, right? I believe in that. I believe that we're all equal, regardless of who we are, what we are, where we are. So my position as mayor would be the same, that everyone is treated equally, no matter what. If there are events, which are special interest events, we would have a system in place so that organizations can apply for grants for those events. That way the state can't come in and say, well, we'll figure it out. We'll get it done.
Candidate Gabbard.
Well, I just fundamentally believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion are important economic drivers. They are important moral fabric compasses that we all need to be working towards, regardless of what Tallahassee says. Tallahassee continues to come down on cities like St. Petersburg that has a beautifully diverse resident. And we need to continue to push back. We need to continue to tell Tallahassee that we are going to continue to shine even in the face of what they put up against us. We have some legislation coming before us that is going to be very, very difficult for us to navigate going forward to protect our quality of life for everyday residents. As your mayor, I will continue to push back. I will continue to work forward and making sure that every person in our city feels the dignity that they deserve, they feel the opportunity that they need, and that we will continue to move our city forward together.
Candidate Crist.
St. Pete is one of the most welcoming cities in America, and I'm going to keep it that way. That is not a small thing right now, when so much of that welcome is under threat from Tallahassee. So here's my commitment as mayor. I'll protect every resident from discrimination in their job, their housing, and their daily life. No exceptions. I'll stand with our LGBTQ neighbors, our young people, and our families. And I will make sure City Hall has their back, not just in June during Pride Month, but all year long. I'll keep St. Pete Pride strong because it is part of who we are and it lifts this whole city. This one is simple to me. Everybody deserves respect, and we need to treat everyone with respect and kindness and decency. You know, I believe in the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have done unto you. I try to comport myself that way every single day, and I certainly would as your mayor if you give me your vote. Thank you.
Candidate Scruggs.
This question is something that's very fundamental to who I am, and it's not an issue for me about what I'm going to do. It's about what I've been doing for the past 40 years. The beauty of this city is its diversity. One of the things that I will bring to City Hall is the reality or the truth that in order for us to be a diverse and effective community and to bring meaning to our tagline, "We are St. Petersburg," we have to ensure that every person in this city feels that they're valued, that their input it does not depend on what clique they're in, but that they can offer their voice, and their voice will be respected for the fact that they're willing to offer it. For far too long, we have made decisions based on who you're connected to. And when I can have a 15-year-old tell me that this is a city of cliques, that tells me that we have a fundamental issue about inclusion.
Candidate Welch.
So focusing on the question, I ran on inclusive progress. And some have asked, what does that mean? Well, it's the opposite of exclusive. It does mean we are St. Pete, all of us, full stop. And it's important that you stand when an item is being debated, not saying what you will do, but what did you do when DEI was being threatened, when Black history was being pulled out of schools, when the LGBTQ history was being pulled out of schools? Did you say something? I did. With the city's name as mayor, on record, I stood against DEI. I've stood against the backwards legislation coming from Tallahassee. That's important. It's also why I renamed the historic gas plant development from Tropicana Field, because it wasn't about a baseball field, it was about a community. And so standing on those issues and using the bully pulpit of mayor is what I have done. It's what I'll continue to do. January 1st is going to be difficult for cities and counties across this state because of that DEI bill, and we're still looking at every option to fight that bill.
Candidate at large.
Yes, for me, I think the city government at the local level, obviously the city government, so we need to stay neutral on issues, social issues, cultural issues, political issues, and focus on the core functions. And that's what we need to provide to everybody. And then on top of that, I think that everybody should have equal access, opportunity, and a voice at City Hall. And I don't think there should be any division. But I think as long as the city stays in a neutral position, spends the money appropriately on the core services that every single person, regardless, deserves. You know, I use the example that right out here at Fifth Avenue, this road needs paving. And the people that drive it, that road doesn't ask you if you're black or white, or if you're gay or straight, or if you're whatever the case may be. But they all deserve that road to be paved and to be drivable and to be safe. And that's the position the city should be in, is providing that safe neighborhood, safe streets, you know, so, thank you.
Thank you. And now we come to the point where we have closing comments that each of you have 90 seconds to state. And as we have it, it's the same order as we began. So, closing arguments, Candidate Gabbard.
Well, thank you, everyone, for being here tonight, everyone who's listening online. I also want to give a thank you to my husband and my son for being here with me as well, and for your commitment to our city and for your support. And I just want to leave you all with this. If you're looking for a candidate that has a clear plan and a vision for our city and a track record of success, I am that candidate. As we heard tonight, and as I hear at the doorstep of every voter when I am out in our neighborhoods, our residents want us to focus on resiliency, affordability, livability, access to food, safe streets for all road users, and access to good jobs and transit so that people can get to those jobs. I have the knowledge, I have the energy, and I have the experience to get this work done and to put your needs ahead of everything else. And I will always work to ensure that we have a vibrant St. Pete for decades to come. I hope you'll visit brandy4stpete.com, join our team, volunteer, donate, but most importantly of all, I hope that you'll vote for me on August 18th. Thank you.
Candidate Crist.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you again to the League of Women Voters and all of you who came this evening. Here's what I hope that you heard from me tonight. I'm looking forward to the future, to a bright future for a place called St. Petersburg, Florida, the Sunshine City. It's awfully important, I think, that we support our police, our firefighters, storm recovery, and that they're all fully funded. And under my mayoral leadership, they will be. Where good housing is built every day in every neighborhood, where we are ready for the next storm before it arrives, where the arts have the opportunity to continue to thrive, and where every neighborhood feels that investment. I have dedicated my life to public service. It's in my heart. It's a calling for me. Being able to do so for the city that I love as much as I do, St. Petersburg, Florida, would be a great honor. And I commit this to you. I'll dedicate all of my time to making sure that you're heard, that you can reach your mayor, that your voice will matter. That's what this is about. You're the people, you're the boss. This is supposed to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. I will honor that every single day. Thank you so much, and don't forget to vote August 18th.
Candidate Welch. I'm sorry, candidate Scruggs, I'm sorry.
First of all, thank you all for coming out and hearing us tonight. This was just a snippet of the platform that I will be standing on as mayor of St. Petersburg. The League of Women Voters, thank you for the opportunity to at least introduce ourselves, to introduce myself. But what I want to do beyond tonight is to issue a personal challenge to each of you. You've heard a lot about what has been done and who's taken the lead on this and that. But during the petition process, we talked to 1,429 people. And what I can tell you is what we heard in the street was a lot different from what I'm hearing on this platform. And what I challenge each of you to do, anyone who is interested in what St. Petersburg would look like under the leadership of Maria Scruggs as a public administrator and not the professional politician, reach out to me at 727-798-5361, and let's have a real conversation on the solutions. Or you can go to mariaformayor.com so that you can have an opportunity to read about some solutions. It's time that we move past the rhetoric and move toward the solutions that place the people over the politics.
Candidate Welch.
Thank you. Tonight you heard again where I stand on the issues that shape our lives daily, including housing, public safety, recovery, community resilience, and opportunity. Progress isn't a promise you make in an election year. It's the work you show up for every day, year after year. And I've done that work. 3 property tax cuts, the lowest homicide rate since 1967, over 1,000 homes created or preserved, and 1,000 more being developed right now. And historic federal recovery dollars brought to the city of St. Petersburg, one of only 2 cities in the state to receive it after the worst storms in a century. The choice before you isn't about a personality. It's about who is rooted here, who has done the work during the most difficult times, and who will be here to finish it. I'm running because this city, every neighborhood in it, is my home. It's where my Donna in fabulous red tonight and I raised our daughters. And inclusive progress for my hometown is always my focus. There's more work to do, protecting us from the next storm, honoring the promise of the gas plant, and providing housing affordability. Join our team at kenwelch.com. We're looking forward to the progress we'll continue to make. Thank you.
Candidate at large.
So first of all, thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you to League of Women Voters, St. Pete College. What I want to say is I'm not a politician, I think that's obvious, but I am a career public servant, and that means a lot to me. And in the 18 years I served as a fire chief, I worked under 4 different mayors. And so in that 18 years, I gained a lot of executive level leadership experience doing budget development, doing administration of facilities, personnel, crisis management. And the job was really kind of simple in the sense that you protect the public and you spend responsibly. It's not much more than that. We ensure that critical services worked when they were needed. So local government, as I've mentioned numerous times tonight, should focus on core responsibilities. We don't need political processes. We need operational leadership in our city right now. So come August 18th, you have a choice. You have a choice to make. Are you comfortable with the direction the city's been going? If you are, you know how you want to vote. My campaign is not about politics, it's about priorities. So you have a choice. Stay on the current path or bring proven leadership, accountability, and common sense to City Hall. I think that's what we need, and that's what I promise you that I will bring to City Hall, and I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Candidate Batdorf.
I'm the only candidate up here that is a business owner in the city of St. Petersburg. My current company, we opened in 1999, and it's still going strong. Before that, I had other businesses. And oh, by the way, during all that, I volunteer my time. So I'm the only candidate that is both having a business background and civic involvement at the same time. You all know my record with Shore Acres, with what I've done, how Elevate Florida was created. I did that out of my own pocket. as a volunteer while still maintaining a business. I'm the only one that on day one can get things done. I will go in and make sure that our departments, the permit department, the water departments, start functioning properly. It's not going to happen on day one. It's going to take a week or two, but I'm going to get that done. I believe in smart development. We need to look at new development helping with our old infrastructure. I really believe that needs to be done. I believe we can leverage Tropicana Field property in such a way that that $390 million value turns into $1.2 billion. So we can leverage that money. We don't need new taxes. I'm okay getting rid of homestead taxes because that's our money and that's spread across the board. So if you like what you hear, batdorfformayor.com. You can find everything about me. If you want to call me, you can do so. You can send me an email, but vote. Please vote August 18th.
I want to thank all our candidates for making our citizens more informed tonight than they were before they came in. And I want to thank our residents, our citizens, for some very good questions and for being here. I turn it back over to Chris.
Thank you, Trevor, for doing such a great job. If we can have our last slide, I'm going to invite everybody to take your phones back out now. You're allowed. There's a QR code here. If you scan it, you're going to get links to all of the essential voting information you need as pictured there. But I'm going to give you a few verbal reminders too. Please contact the Pinellas County Supervisor of Elections to ensure your mailing address is current. Vote-by-mail ballots are not forwardable. Florida law requires voters to request a vote-by-mail ballot after each general election, so you have to renew that request for your mail-in. Vote-by-mail ballots must be received by the Supervisor of Elections no later than 7 p.m. on Election Day. Nonpartisan information about the election, the candidates, and their responses to additional questions been here with us today, and all of our co-sponsors, including the National Council of Negro Women, the St. Pete Metropolitan Section, St. Pete Council of Neighborhood Associations, Interfaith Tampa Bay, Pinellas County Urban League, the Tampa Bay Association of Black Journalists, and of course, all of our dedicated League of Women Voters volunteers. If you put your hands up, please. They've worked very hard today. Thank you very much. This concludes the St. Petersburg Mayoral Forum. We hope to see you all on Election Day.
And remember to vote. It's not just your right, it's your responsibility. Thank you.